God knows how many people are going to die as a result of them still having the power to create an incident or to continue policies that are killing innocent. The system, in a sense, is protecting them for the system's own reasons. And it may be that they're afraid of the effect on the market. You know, there are all sorts of calculations that go into something like that.
They want continuity, or economic powers that be at least want continuity.
Yeah, that's right. And the whole issue of the future of the capitalistic system. You know, I mean, all of these things may be in the minds of the people that are protecting Bush. Ultimately, all I know is how the government has worked in the past, and it's protect the president and protect the president and protect the president at all costs.
I'm getting the orthodox hope is to put out enough incriminating material to put enough heat on the Bush administration to prevent it from attacking Iran or doing something equally horrible, but without incurring impeachment or some sort of legal action against the presidency.
Yeah, because, you know, every day in the White House, they analyze every single news broadcast. They analyze every single article, and they prepare summaries for the decision makers, the cabinet members, and everybody else. They go through every single thing. There's nothing that they do not analyze and condense for the decision makers. So the point is that they know damn well what is really going on, and they watch it. You know, remember during Kennedy's time, Kennedy would be in bed, and Bobby would come in, and Bobby would bring in the stories that appeared in all the papers. Yeah. And his function was to figure out who was leaking what against JFK. Well, that's done on a massive scale. And, you know, all the broadcasts all over the world are analyzed and condensed. FBIC, or there's an FBIS service that takes all of the, and like soon the Der Spiegel story will, of course, appear in one of those things.
Yeah.
There are people that spend their time just analyzing and condensing all of this stuff, and their masters know exactly who's leaking what and how near the truth they're getting, and what counter stories they have to put out to confuse the public. It's like one huge chess game.
Yes,
and when you're in on that system, as I was, you know, it's absolutely amazing to read it and then and then to prevent your boss from doing something stupid so that they fire him. But they're condensing it for the policymakers and his cabinet and the people that really run the government, the 2,000 or 3,000 people that really run the government.
Yeah.
People are watching, and since they're watching, they know how near the truth they're getting.
Yep.
So you're right that there's enough out there. Also, it could be a CYA operation on the part of some of these big news agencies, because when the truth comes out, they'll say, "Oh well, we were saying that. Yeah, well, we knew that." But notice our story of April 3rd, or notice our story of March 27th, and so forth. So a lot of that stuff could be put out there just to protect them in the future. Our masters, our overlords, are very conscious of the least bit of deviation, as you just mentioned, from the orthodoxy.
Yeah.
And there is an orthodoxy, and I think that's a very good term that you use. There is an orthodoxy here, and the idea that the President of the United States would be such a monster to create a torture regime and then to revel in it is just almost too much for the American people to accept.
So I don't know if you had a chance to see that video that was on Countdown of Professor Jonathan Turley talking about preferring his opinion that Bush had authorized torture. And
Turley is excellent. His analysis comes almost to the point that we've been making, that these Yo memos lead directly to the White House.
Do you think that he was signaling that?
Yes, that's what he was signaling.
Yes.
There's no question in my mind. And it goes to my general theory that the editors and people that run mainstream media, they know a lot but don't say it. And for whatever reason, they either aren't allowed to say it or they don't want to and keep it hidden. But somehow they're aching to get the story out. And in other words, they're throwing all the clues out there, and we got to make sense out of them.
Yeah.
I mean, that's my theory.
Yeah, from what I recall of just watching a bit of the clip, I think that Turley mentioned national security document at a specific time period and didn't name it.
The real problem here is that none of this, all of these guys, Yo and the whole gang, they are creating a fabric of justification. They're creating a justification that they know full well is what the White House wants, because they've been whispered in their ear by Gonzales, and so they come up with it.
Yes.
And the guy sitting in the White House is getting from these lawyers the exact legal opinion and justification that he wants.
Yeah.
And then once he gets it, what does he do with it? Well, he has got to sign a document. And, you know, the government, especially in the national security business, since the president, if their theory is that the president can do anything he wants and the Fourth Amendment doesn't apply to these cases, if he gets that kind of justification, which is exactly what he wants, then certain actions take place. But those actions, they create this legal opinion so that they can get something. What do they want to get? They want to get a National Security Council action memo or decision memo out of the president with his signature on, thereby making this authority. I mean, in other words, legitimatizing it. And then once it's legitimatized, then Bush can redelegate it. The whole business of redelegation is very, very, very important within the higher reachings of national security. The whole redelegation of authority to launch nuclear weapons, for example. That's one of the key issues. So once he signs it, then he redelegates it to Rumsfeld. And the New York Times people made the mistake of calling Yo an attorney working for DOD when he was really working for DOJ. But here is a low-working official, and he issues this legal opinion, and the head of the DOJ and his deputy don't even know anything about it. Well, come on now. I was in the government for a long damn time, 30 years. You just can't do that unless you are being protected politically. You have to. A civil servant couldn't do that. You had to have political orders to do it, and you had to be protected. You had to have a shell around you, a force shield around you. And this guy Yo and his gang of conspirators, his cabal, they had a force shield, and that was created by Gonzales, telling him that's what the president wanted, and Libby, and then because Libby was the operative man there for Cheney at the time, and so therefore the stuff slid through. Sure, it worked in back channels, and there's a lot of stuff works in back channels in Washington, especially once you get into the high security area. They get information from intercepts and everything else, and it's merchandised and it's hidden, but it gets through. And in this case, we have a classic example of this kind of machinations with Yo preparing the very legal authority that the president wants, it being prepared, and it gets there without the signature of his theoretical bosses. It gets there, Gonzales. Then they prepare a decision memo. And those decision memos themselves you have to know what they are. They're complicated. They're an art form in themselves. I've prepared some of them in the past, and essentially they present the problem, and then they give you the options, A, B, C, and D, and they tell you what the advantages of A are and what the advantages of B are and C and D are, and then the president's supposed to look at it, read it, make sense out of it. Meanwhile, someone's whispered in his ear, pick B. You know,
Mm-hmm.
They already know